Hello, my name is Ava Zanetti, and it is great to speak with you today. I am a candidate for the internship at the Greater Toronto Area Business Development Center, and it is great to speak with you today on regards of David Divine Design. I have some great ideas for him how to expand his business, and I definitely know that I was in the reins. I could definitely expand this business farther than it already is. Looking at his business, currently he has one location in Vaughan. He consults for furniture and window treatments and generally home makeovers. Usually project from $2,000 to $100,000, but they do pride themselves in being able to work in any budget. As well, they work usually in middle to upper class, and they want to have some national exposure. So today I'm going to speak on regards of that. I'm going also to speak on some of the questions you had for me in regards of some characteristics of a successful entrepreneur and why entrepreneurship is important to the economy, as well as some key concepts when we're looking at his business and e-commerce in general, and how we can expand it to e-commerce. So first, let's begin with what are some characteristics of a successful entrepreneur. Of course, first is driven, as well as not being afraid to take risks, being visionary, and being a go-getter. So when you're an entrepreneur and you have a business, you need to make sure you know your business very well and be able to take that a step further, be driven to be able to do so, and also be passionate about your business. And I think with those characteristics and being able to take risks and just putting yourself out there, being fearless is definitely a way to be an amazing entrepreneur. The second aspect to this is why entrepreneurship is important to the economy. Of course, I obviously think it is very important, and it is in general, as it boosts economic growth by introducing innovation into the economy. Without entrepreneurs, we wouldn't have the innovation that we have today, and there's many examples of that. So entrepreneurship is definitely vital. So now let's move on to David's Divine Design. I definitely think his business has some potential here. He definitely has some ways he can go with this, and I'll speak on what way he should go with this in specifics. So right now he only has one location, which is in Vaughan. So I definitely think as of right now he should expand just outwardly from that. He shouldn't move right into international business, since that is going to be very complex from where he's starting at. But I definitely think he needs to move even just to greater parts of the Toronto area and then expand to Ontario. I think the best way to do this is e-commerce. Of course, e-commerce right now, especially while we're still in the midst of COVID-19 and while we're still kind of getting near the end of it, the internet is huge, and there's no escaping that. The internet is not going to go away anytime soon, or really at any time. So e-commerce is going to be vital for his business and businesses in general. So moving on to this platform, especially with the type of business he has, is going to be vital. There is a lot of competition, though, in his market. Of course, there is a lot of consulting firms, a lot of people that do home makeovers. So we're really going to have to look at that as well. Most businesses are now operating with very little human interaction. So being able to do this and know how to do this is also going to be vital for him, and it's going to make his life a lot easier if he can be able to do that, and not have to use humans as much, as that's also technically cheaper in terms of what he's going to have to pay people. So when we're looking at this, I really think that right now he's obviously owning his whole business, and I think we want to keep it that way as long as possible, unless he needs to move into investors to pay for certain things. Keeping it his business for as long as possible is going to be vital for his profits for himself. I think e-commerce is going to be huge. Of course, the best example of this is something like Amazon. That is a huge e-commerce business, and has definitely made huge profits. It's the best example. There's things like Alibaba as well, and these businesses have really thrived on the internet, and that's what his business is going to need to move to. So as of right now, I think he needs to move to the Greater Toronto area, and he's going to need to get multiple consultants. So he's going to need to get multiple people around Ontario once he expands province-wide, and then expands to national, and then expands international eventually. He's going to need to get trustworthy people around in these areas that can be able to do these home makeovers, because of course, no matter how big the business gets, we need to make sure that the customers are happy. So when looking at this, in terms of the situation, he's going to need to do some background checks and police checks, make sure that these people are trustworthy when it comes to home makeovers. And then once he has that and he has a good backing of people, he can start helping different home makeovers in different cities. Let's say there's a home makeover in Windsor. He can't drive all the way from Vaughan to Windsor, realistically and fiscally, all the time himself. So he's definitely going to need to expand who he has, and he can do that in an e-commerce sense. When we look at something like Amazon again with the truck drivers, they don't run that specifically. It's not like Jeff Bezos is going in each car and delivering everything himself, right? He's going to need to be the entrepreneur in a sense and hire people to do that job for him. So that's going to be vital. When we're looking at legality and when we're moving outward, especially when we move outward to different provinces and eventually to different countries, we're going to need to look at the legality of different things that we're doing. So home makeovers and specific things that we might be doing here in Vaughan, it might be completely different in somewhere else, like in the States even. Something as close as that. So when we're looking at that, we need to make sure that his company is still being as legally safe as it can, and making sure that he's also not losing profits in translation. So what I mean by that is that when it comes to certain things, like he's purchasing a couch or he's purchasing certain window installations, we're going to make sure he needs to maximize his profit as much. So he's definitely going to need to consult people and get people on his team that can definitely have the financial backing to see what his best options are in specifics for how much money he should put towards certain things, how much money he should put towards certain projects, maximize the customer happiness, but also maximize the amount of profits that he's making while doing so. That is going to be vital for his success in this business. As well, I definitely think that his business is going to have to move from just him very soon, since he's going to be expanding. So it's not just going to be a sole proprietorship anymore. It's definitely gonna have to move into something more complex, maybe something like a general partnership and eventually a corporation. I definitely think it has the potential to do so, especially e-commerce, but he's gonna need to give that backing and be able to use his entrepreneurial skills to do so. So I definitely think that here at the Greater Toronto Business Development Center, we can definitely help him out with that. I definitely know that using some of the ideas that I have here, it can definitely help him with the success of his business and help him with what he may do. Looking at my notes here, I also think that in terms of getting the word out there, we can definitely use some online social media platforms. Ads might not be a good idea since everyone is on their phone already. We might as well do maybe Instagram ads, YouTube ads, stuff like that. But we also need to make sure we're hitting the target market. So the target market is not going to be teenagers, right? It's going to be adults who have a home and can afford to do home renovations. So we're definitely going to need to be able to market to those people. And when he's expanding out his business, he's going to need to make sure he's hiring consultants and people in areas that are a bit richer, or more middle and high class areas, since these are the areas that are going to be getting these home renovations. It's not like he's going to go in the middle of a wheat farm to try and find people to purchase his services. He's definitely going to need to expand to places that have a bit of a higher tax bracket in that sense and can afford these home renovations. So in terms of e-commerce, and once the business gets a bit bigger, it'll be able to run itself. But as of right now, and kind of on these starting steps, he's going to need to really strategically place where he's going to open up new facilities and where he's also going to hire people, and who he's going to hire as well to be trustworthy enough to deal with these bigger projects, especially the very expensive ones. So in general, I think what Davis Divine Design needs to do is really expand to e-commerce, make sure that he's hiring people that are trustworthy, doing background checks, looking at the legality in the areas that he's going to, making sure that he's still making and maximizing the profit that he has when he's going into these larger areas. When he moves into international business, of course, looking at tariffs, looking at all these different things on specifics of of how much money he's going to have to put in these areas. But for right now, he's definitely going to need to look at those specific things, make sure he's moving his market into richer, more fiscally available areas that have more money that will actually be doing home renovations. And he really needs to, when he's doing his e-commerce business, make sure that he's hiring trustworthy people that can do an amazing job. So I want to thank you so much for speaking with me today, and I hope you have a great day.